Hello and welcome to pmslounge.com. This video has nothing to do with video games. We are talking about the iterative and incremental project management life cycles. And this video is part of our Lounge Fever series, which is basically a series of videos where we try to answer your FAQs. If you want to go over other agile related FAQs that we have answered, check out the first link in the description. You might find answers to some of the questions that you have around agile. All right, that being clear, that being said, let's understand what iterative and incremental project management life cycles are. So starting things off, we'll talk about the iterative life cycle. And this is what the agile practice guide from PMI on page 17 says about iterative life cycle. An approach that allows feedback for unfinished work to improve and modify that work. So you can modify the unfinished work, you can improve the unfinished work, and you're doing so based on the feedback that you receive. That is what iterative life cycle is all about. And this is how iterative life cycle looks like. You first have the analysis phase where you are analyzing requirements. Then you perhaps create a prototype, right? You do a design, you create a prototype. This arrow here represents feedback loop, right? So you get some sort of feedback. You might improve your design. Once this is done, you then do a build and test, right? You do a build, you test it. If there are changes, you refine that once again. So there are these loops here that you will observe in step 2 and 3, and finally you do the delivery. So that is how iterative life cycle looks like. What it does is that it improves the product of the project or the result or the outcome of the project, right? By successive prototypes or the proof of concepts that you are making in this step here, right? So it is essentially improving the end goal, the outcome of your project. Now each new prototype or the proof of concept, it is going to result in new stakeholder feedback and insights, and this is why this is essentially a loop. You have a loop here because you are going to get feedback from the customer, from other stakeholders. So this new information, this feedback that you're getting, you are going to incorporate it in your next prototype that you build. So this is essentially going to reduce the uncertainty, the overall uncertainty of the project. Let's take an example. So in analysis, you are essentially analyzing some requirements. And this could be, let's say, the construction of a house. So you are analyzing what all requirements your customer has. Next, you are going to come up with a prototype. It can be a printout that contains the entire design of the house. It can be a 3D model of the house. It can be anything, but you are going to essentially design. That is what you're going to do. Number 3 is you're going to actually build. This is step 3. This is where you actually build and you test. So your customer might visit site when you are building the house for them, because construction of the house is the project you're working on. And finally, you do the delivery. You deliver the entire house. Now, when should you go with iterative project management lifecycle? You should go with this when the complexity is high, right? It's a highly complex project that you're working on. Go with iterative lifecycle. The other condition in which you would want to go with iterative lifecycle is when the customer is unsure of the requirements, right? So it is possible that customer is coming up with frequent changes, and even you expect that the customer is going to come up with frequent changes. So in such scenarios, you should opt for the iterative project management lifecycle. The one thing that you need to note here is, although you see all these loops here for prototype and refine, what's happening in the end is you are doing a single delivery. This is not multiple deliveries. You are delivering the entire home at the end. So the end result that you are delivering as part of this project is something that you do only once. In software terms, you could think of this as you are working on a software, but you are not releasing the software to the customer. You're not going live in these stages, right? So you're not going live. You are just checking with the customer. You're obtaining the customer feedback. You go live only once. So till the time you go live, till these steps, what you are essentially doing is you are working in a non-prod environment. So that is the crux of iterative life cycle. Before we talk about the incremental project management life cycle, I'd like to remind you, if you're preparing for the PMP exam, then head over to pmclounge.com/PMP training. You're going to find all the articles and videos neatly listed there. Everything is totally free. Okay, so let's talk about incremental life cycle. And again, referring to the page 17 of Agile Practice Guide, incremental life cycle is essentially an approach that provides finished deliverables that the customer may be able to use immediately. Now, what's happening here is that you are providing finished goods, finished deliverables. Unlike in iterative life cycle, when you were doing a single delivery, in incremental life cycle, you are actually doing multiple deliveries, as you can see here, right? So you are delivering here, you are again delivering here, and then you are again delivering here. So this is how incremental life cycle looks like. Now, obviously, you cannot deliver the entire home in the first go. You are working in increments here. So what you're delivering is essentially small chunks. Think of it as software features. So you're not delivering the entire software. You are delivering features every time one of your increments go out. So the keyword here is essentially speed. You do this because not all customers, not all businesses can afford to wait for a long time for you to work on your project and then deliver towards the end, right? Some businesses would want to start as soon as possible. They want to get some sort of deliverable, maybe a minimum viable product, right? Something as soon as possible so that it can start deriving value. So a subset of overall solution is something that your project team can deliver as part of the first phase or the first increment, right? So you are essentially doing frequent deliveries, as you can see, and you are essentially delivering smaller increments, smaller deliverables. Think of this as delivering new features at each software delivery. Now, here's a good example. You see Google, this is how it used to look like. But then in the next iteration, you refined the homepage, and this is the current iteration where you have a much more refined homepage of Google. So this happened because there was incremental lifecycle deployed. There were multiple deliveries involved. Google didn't wait for 25 years to come up with this homepage and then go live, right? They went live here itself, and then based on feedback, based on input from other stakeholders, they basically changed their designs, made it better, refined it. So that's how incremental life cycle is used. Now, before I let you go, I'd like to go over this Mona Lisa painting example, which is quite common, which is quite famous actually. So you see, there are two ways that Mona Lisa can be painted. Obviously, none of us can paint it, but this is incremental approach where you deliver the entire requirement, right, in the first go. This is almost a finished product. Someone can buy this product as well. In the second go as well, you are delivering an increment which is a finished product. In the third go also, you are enhancing it. So this is incremental life cycle. Whereas in iterative life cycle, what you're doing is you're coming up with some sort of prototype, you get feedback, then you refine it, then again you get feedback, then you refine it again, and then finally deliver it. So that's how incremental and iterative life cycle differs. Before I let you go, I have two questions for you. Are agile and adaptive same? Let me know in the comments. Do you think agile and adaptive is basically the same thing? And The second question is Agile a combination of iterative and incremental life cycles? Let me know in the comment. Definitely looking forward to your answers. And that's all that I have in this video. Like, share, subscribe. If you like our work, consider contributing by using the thanks button on YouTube or using the pmclounge.com/contribute web page. Don't forget to check out our website pmclounge.com, your #1 free PMP and project management resource. Thank you.